Coming up on Made in Virginia, we're headed south to the New River Valley to visit the largest private employer in Southwest Virginia, Volvo Trucks. Then we head over to Richmond to IR Engraving to see how they create the metal rolls that are used to print and emboss some common products that you encounter every day. Production funding for Made in Virginia is made possible in part by the Virginia Foundation for Public Media, supporting public media initiatives throughout Virginia, and by at Atlantic Union Bank, we believe that Made in Virginia means something special, something unique. After all, Virginia is where tradition meets technology, where hard work combines with innovation, where artisans, entrepreneurs, small businesses, and corporations take business to the next level. We're there every step of the way as champions of Virginia businesses and as a proud supporter of Made in Virginia and Virginia Public Broadcasting. Volvo Trucks in Dublin, Virginia produces all of their North American trucks. The first truck came off the assembly line in September of 1982. Each truck Volvo produces is completely custom to fit each customer's needs.
Today's truck is as easy to drive as a high-tech, high-class car. Now, I would not want to give one to just anybody, okay? You need a professional drivers to make sure it's used correctly, hour after hour, day after day, month after month. But just pretty much anybody could be driving a truck for a certain amount of distance. And because there is so much now to do, there is automatic transmissions, there is all the truck is watching around us for the lane departures. The truck can actually brake for you. If I try to take the turn too fast, the truck is going to take control and it's going to slow me down. So those functionalities that you can test today as a non-CDL driver, as a non-commercial driver, are just examples of things that, as a professional driver that does that all the time, it makes it easier, less tiring.
So every Volvo truck you see on the road is built here in Southwest Virginia, in this Dublin plant, New River Valley plant. We don't have any other plants inside North America, including Mexico and Canada, and we're very proud of that. It's built in the USA, and we're the only manufacturing that said our truck, when you drive down the road, you pass a Volvo truck, is built in the USA.
So Volvo Trucks and Volvo Cars are complete different companies now, and we as the AB Volvo company, we specialize in industrial equipment. So trucks, buses, construction equipment, engines for boats or for industrial applications. Here in this facility, our claim of fame is to build the best truck in the world. We built the Volvo truck that is only for the North American market. So Volvo is present all around the world, but the truck we built here is only for this market. It was designed and built in the US.
Here at New River Valley, we like to call ourselves, we're the industrial Disneyland. We're industrial Disneyland not only for our customer, industrial Disneyland for our people. When they come to work and when the customer here, we want to give that magical experience. We want to make sure that they feel exactly as important as they really are, and we make our employees feel the same way when they come to work.
This facility is the largest one we have, 1.6 million square feet on the roof. It's one of the few fully integrated facilities at Volvo, meaning that we start from the panels, we weld the cab, we paint the cab, we trim it on the inside, and we start the truck just from the rails. We get the rails for each truck, and from there we build everything. So we have 3,500 people right now. We are seeing a good growth in the market. Next year is going to be a very interesting year for us. We just launched our brand new truck last year, so we have the hot product and the hot market.
We cannot use robots on the assembly side because the truck is so different. Every truck going down the line is already sold. It's already engineered, but it takes the skill of the people and the talent of the people really to finalize and put that truck together.
So out of 3,500 people, we have very few robots. Robots for us do only two things. We weld and we paint. The repetitive task that requires a level of precision that is difficult to do by hand. But everything else is built by hand. The purpose for that is because of the size of the product, but more importantly because of the customization of the product. So it allows us, by building it by hand, it's an assembly work, it allows us to be very specific, one truck after the other. So you don't have, if you go and look visually, even if you do not know much about truck, you're going to see that they are not two trucks alike.
In the trucking industry, we're very different from the automotive industry. Automotive is extremely cut and dry. There's very few options. Every truck on our assembly line is different. So you can go have a very complicated truck and the next one behind is a very simple truck. So that's where the craftsmanship of our people come in, right? Specifically, let's say in the plumbing area, the air plumbing area. We don't have exact specific instructions for them exactly how to do everything. So the craftsmanship really comes in place where they have to put their own talent in place to make sure that truck is perfect.
When you're lucky to have a strong facility with the right equipment and you have a workforce and a team behind it that wants to deliver day after day the best product out, that's part of the fun. My job is just to try to continue to grow, to take it to wherever the next level is. And when we see our customers says, can I get more? Can you give me more product? And that's the challenge. That's super cool in the morning. It's worth waking up for.
Every Volvo truck begins the same way, with the highest quality parts brought into their warehouse from suppliers across Virginia, the U.S., and, in some cases, from countries around the world. But the unique personality of each truck begins to take shape as parts are sequenced into a material flow to build a truck for a specific customer. All Volvo cabs are assembled using high-strength steel, which gives the trucks incredible strength and durability. Here in the Body in White shop, 83 robots help weld floor pans, sides, doors, and roofs to create the familiar shape of the Volvo truck.
In the side assembly area, we have left side and right side line. It's a highly compact cell with quite a few robots when you see it. It's very automated, so essentially when the operators load the parts in the cell, the robots pick it up and transfer it through the line completely to the very end where another operator will take it out of the rack. So in between the beginning and the end, it's all automated, where the sides are actually put together with all the inners and the skin itself.
Before they're finished, thousands of welds bring this cab together. After careful inspection, cabs move on to the paint shop, where they are treated to a 4-step process. First, they are dipped in an e-coat bath and given a highly durable epoxy base that will fight rust for the life of the truck.
Well, after the cab is welded together, it goes to a 4-step process in paint. The first step it goes is through e-coat. It's a row dip system. It goes through several different stages in a bath system, so that the whole cab is submerged down into a liquid, and that is a rust prohibitor for the cab. That's the first stage.
Next, they receive a base primer coat.
The second stage, it goes into primer. It's done by robots. It's a gun application, and the primer is basically used for the base coat to stick to it so the paint doesn't peel off.
The final 2 steps involve an advanced wet-on-wet paint technology that applies base color and clear coat for an incredibly resilient, vibrant finish.
It's the latest technology on the market, and it's a bell at the end of the robot that spins about 60,000 RPMs. And what it's doing, it's breaking up the paint particles. And the paint particles, that's important because it has better transfer of efficiency to the cab, which means it's more efficient. We use less paint, but it has a much brighter wet finish. Once the base coat is gone, we do not bake it. Typically, we bake the cab in between the process. It's a wet-on-wet application. So after we put the base coat on, we do a quick flash, what we call, for about 5 to 7 minutes, and then it goes into our clear coat.
The cab then goes through a bake oven to harden the paint, after which it gets a final quality inspection. At this point, cabs enter Volvo's automatic storage and retrieval system, where they wait to be brought into the final assembly building. Now, the real work begins. Thousands of skilled employees work in a careful sequence to trim out each cab with their interior components. Sleepers move down a dedicated line because they require more time to build out than their day cab counterparts.
So from there, it comes out of the ASRS, it goes on our cab trim line. There is where we trim out the inside of the cab. We have two lines. We have a sleeper line and we have a cab line. So once it goes on the main line, the sleepers go one direction, the cabs go another direction.
But soon, all cabs are blended into the cab line, where the interiors are completed, the electronic dash is installed with all its electrical harnesses, and the seat and other trim pieces are installed.
So you'll see it being trimmed out from the trim, the steering wheel, to the dash, the all electrical harnesses, to the very end where they have another electrical test. And they test that cab to make sure all the connections are secure, everything's working properly before it goes over the chassis line.
The windshield is now mounted using a unique rubber seal instead of glue, making it easier to replace on the road. Then the final cab interior items, including the steering wheel and driver's side airbag, are installed, after which a final electrical test is conducted. While the cab is being built up, the chassis is going through its own unique assembly, making sure that it receives the right components to match the job it will be performing. Cross members are placed into squaring fixtures to make sure everything stays aligned. Brackets are installed to hold fuel and air tanks, electrical harnesses, and more. Then, all the electrical and air lines are plumbed. Next, the assembly team decks the axles and flip the chassis. From there, the fifth wheel is installed and the entire chassis goes through a paint booth to receive its final color. And now the chassis is ready to receive its engine and transmission, decked as a single assembly. After that come the tires, radiator, and exhaust system. At this point, the chassis is rolling on its own wheels, and it is ready to meet up with its cab. The cab is brought in using an overhead rail system, where it is carefully decked onto the chassis. Although now it looks like a complete Volvo truck, work is still not finished. All fluids are added, and the engine and cooling system are pressure tested for any possible leaks. Inspections continue as the truck receives its hood, grille, and the famous slash and Volvo iron mark, which proudly represent the heritage, quality, and safety of the Volvo brand.
Because every truck is different, we average balance. So each operator has a balance that is an average. So one truck, their cycle time could be 5 minutes. The next truck, it could be 8 minutes. The next truck, it could be 4 minutes, which really makes the craftsmanship that much tougher. So when it comes to making sure everything comes together, you have sequence material. You have tires, you have trim, you have the cabs, you have different components. To the timing of all that, we have a system that puts it together and makes sure it all comes together at the same time. And that's the trick of every day that a truck comes offline every 5 minutes. That makes it special.
Now the truck is ready to be started for the very first time.
So after the truck comes off the end assembly line is when we start our pre-testing before we ship to the customer. So we test our brakes, our ABS system. We have some rollers that test our brakes. Then it goes into a dyno, and this is where we warm the truck up. We run it for about 10 minutes, and we're checking the functionality of all the truck. Headlights work, speed control works, adaptive cruise works. All the electrical components really work of it.
Every few minutes, you'll see a new truck roll off the assembly line here in Southwest Virginia. But the truck is still not ready to leave the plant. First, it receives a thorough pre-delivery inspection, including a test of the anti-lock braking system, check of all the lights, safety systems, electrical components, and more. Even the fifth wheel is checked to make sure it engages and locks properly.
Once it passes that point, it goes to on the road, onto our experience track, where we actually take it on the road and we run it 2-3 laps, and we're doing more functionality tests, more from the customer point of view, making sure that everything truly is functioning.
Once a truck passes all final inspections, it is ready, and Volvo employees are proud to ship this quality truck to a customer where it will have years of service and, in many cases, log more than 1 million miles on the road. The New River Valley is centrally located in the Mid-Atlantic region of the United States. It has great infrastructure, a skilled workforce, and is close to major shipping routes for raw materials and finished trucks.
Southwest Virginia, I'm not originally from this area, but I can say this is my home. I've been with this plant for 15 years, and I consider this home. The people here are fantastic. It's a very blue-collar community, hard-working community. A lot of people that work here at Volvo, they also have farms, and they go home and they work hard. So very hard-working community. When you come and visit the plant, you're going to see an engaged workforce that's very happy to be here, which is extremely important for us. When you walk the shop floor, you can feel the energy, you can feel the passion, you can feel their desire to do the best for the customer. I think that's what really makes these people, Southwest Virginia, really special.
For a manufacturer to attract the best talent, you need to have a great location. So not everybody is built for big towns and traffic jams. A lot of people want the quality of life. And here in our little corner of Virginia, we got everything we need. We got an environment that is amazing. We got outdoors that we would compete with anybody else. And we have high-tech companies. We have a very vibrant business community. So that's what we do. We have the best of both worlds. A nice, quiet place to raise a family. And an active community, lots of companies, tech companies. That's what we want. It's a good combination. And a good geographic location. What else would you want?
I take a lot of pride in that it was made here by us. To know that it was the safest truck on the road, that our people in Southwest Virginia put their hands on it, and they have the passion that I have to make sure that as our families go down the road, I know they're safe. I know they're safe going next to that Volvo truck that we put together.
Volvo continues to innovate the future of their trucks with the latest technology and safety. So next time you're driving down the road anywhere in North America and you see a Volvo truck, you'll know it was made in Virginia. Up next, we travel to Richmond, Virginia to visit IR Engraving. They create metal rolls used in various manufacturing processes to emboss and print materials for aesthetic and various texture applications. Their customers are companies that make some of the most common products that you encounter each and every day.
IR Engraving is an industrial manufacturing company. We supply cylinders, steel or copper-plated cylinders globally to customers that require either some sort of laydown of material or texture on their product.
You can have an engraving that's very intricate. Might be a leather engraving that goes inside of an automobile, or you can have something that would go into the medical industry. We manufacture rolls that help produce the IV bags that people are very familiar with in hospitals.
IR Engraving prides itself on being a full-service supplier to our customers for mainly engraving needs, but also product development, pattern development. We like to steal the old tagline from BASF from the 1990s, we don't make the products you buy, we make the products you buy better. So you'll not see anything out there on the shelf in retail with IR Engraving on it, but you'll see many of our customers' products that we've helped them make.
Sometimes the texture has a mechanical purpose. Sometimes the texture is more of a decorative, for a decorative type of application. You might have a material, a garage door, where you have to put a texture on the garage door. That texture, would come from our rolls. Anything that is out there in the marketplace with the texture would come from potentially one of our embossing rolls.
Yeah, one of the exciting parts of this job is we get to make some neat products or help customers make some neat products. For example, for over 15 years we've been putting on a food wrap pattern that helps in the properties of how it clings to your bowl. So again, that's not necessarily an aesthetic pattern, it's very functional. We've done jobs in the past where it's been metal embossing, and manufacturers like to certainly reduce the cost of raw materials in their process. And a way they can reduce the raw material of metal is they make it thinner. But when they make it thinner, it loses its strength. And one way to add strength to metal is to emboss it.
The process begins with design. IR Engraving's engineers consult with their clients to decide on the desired texture and usage of the roll. They then design the pattern to be transferred to the metal roll. Next, the blank roll is created. Rolls can be small in size or very large depending on the intended usage.
The customer will specify what they need for a roll, whether it's a heat transfer roll or simply a embossing roll. Our engineers will specify what needs to be designed. They'll design it. Bill of materials will go to our purchasing department. They'll order the materials. Most of everything we buy is stock, cut to size. That'll come in, arrive. It'll go into incoming inspection. Then that material will go to our machine shop where the roll is then fabricated.
Once the blank roll has been constructed, it moves onto one of several paths within the facility to receive its pattern. The method of engraving is largely determined by the end user's requirements. Some methods create a finer, shallow effect, and some are capable of creating intricate 3D textures.
We have many different processes, so customers can come to us with an application and we're able to select the process that would work best to meet the requirements that they're looking for their application. We have lasers, we have laser ablation, we have different types of digital technology, whether it's printing in ink or whether it's whether it's electronically cutting, using a diamond into the roll. We can select what is the best process to fit your application.
Electromechanical engraving can only handle up to a few microns depth. It's a very shallow engraving. It's very precise and it's beautifully done, but it's only done on a copper-plated roll as well. With tool and die and mill engraved things like that, we can accommodate a much heavier, much deeper engraving.
One possible path is laser engraving. Lasers can be used to directly etch a design into the metal or used to burn away a pre-applied resist material before being dipped in an acid bath to etch the design.
Well, the lasers we use are not lasers that are going to be used when you go to the doctor and get your LASIK done. They're industrial lasers, CO2 and YAG lasers. They're used specifically for the purpose of removing rubber or hardened ebonite material.
Resist is a material that is applied to the metal in areas that will counteract the etching effect of the acid. Depending on the etching method used, resist is applied in various ways. After a roll has been etched, the resist is removed and the roll is thoroughly cleaned. The surface must be clear of all materials from the previous processes in order to enter the next stage, plating. IR Engraving can plate their rolls with many types of coatings to achieve various effects.
The coatings are very important, one to protect the engraving, but also to promote the longevity of the tool, as well as it has some properties in the customer's process, like release coatings. Quite often when you emboss a product, the product actually embeds into the roll, but you also want that product to be released from the roll so it can continue on in the process.
After the cleaning and plating process, the rolls are packaged up and shipped to the companies that make the products that you encounter every day. IR Engraving continues to thrive and grow, due in part to its tradesmen and specialists that possess the combination of skills needed to create its very unique products.
We have just a little over 100 employees. We've grown since 2016. We've added about 20% to our workforce. The types of people really varies. We have professionals, office professionals, sales, engineering, purchasing, but we also have a lot of skilled trades out in the shop floor. Some of the folks come in with those skills they already need, whether it be maintenance or machine shop personnel. But the engraving is an area that you really can't go out and place an ad out on Indeed or anywhere else and find someone who's got engraving experience. So that's really something that has to be taught. Someone needs to have an aptitude for it, but it just takes lots and lots of time of repetition and practice.
IR Engraving continues to create and export products from Richmond, Virginia to manufacturing companies in every corner of the U.S. and the world. So, the next time you use a paper towel or ride in a vehicle with leather-textured interior, chances are you are seeing a product that was made possible by IR Engraving.
We have great pride being here in Virginia. It's a very friendly state to work in. From a physical geographic location here in the middle of the East Coast, it's very friendly for us from a competition standpoint of being able to ship to many places. Made in the USA is something we're proud of as well. If you walk through the shop, you'll see the American flag in several different spots. We put on our boxes not only our name, but made in the USA as well. So we're proud of our heritage of over 70 years here, and we plan on continuing for many more here in the beautiful state of Virginia.
Production funding for Made in Virginia is made possible in part by the Virginia Foundation for Public Media, supporting public media initiatives throughout Virginia, and by at Atlantic Union Bank, we believe that Made in Virginia means something special, something unique. After all, Virginia is where tradition meets technology, where hard work combines with innovation, where artisans, entrepreneurs, small businesses, and corporations take business to the next level. We're there every step of the way as champions of Virginia businesses and as a proud supporter of Made in Virginia and Virginia Public Broadcasting.